Hi everybody, this is Amascut, also known as Fangride among other things, and welcome to a video log thingy about the Legacy Mode Dragonstone poll that is being released today. This is likely going up on the Searcast channel, and as such, we have some familiar faces. We've got Gina Spam, who may or may not speak, is probably not, and is speaking in Acrylic. We have A. Walters, who's here to stop us from lore failing about things with no lore in it. We have Gordon here.
Hello.
Say hi. We have Kitten here to stop us from going off tangent.
And, yeah, I'm just here to eat broccoli and listen.
Yeah. And we have Lime here, who didn't know about any of this until 5 minutes ago, so this will be enjoyable.
5 minutes is a bit generous.
So, really the big point of this poll is, I've been personally running a thread on both Reddit and the Runescape forums about the Legacy Mode poll and some major problems that are being brought up. There's a lot of ways they could have done this. There's a lot of ways they could have delayed this announcement and really probably timed this better. But right now I just want to take the time, especially with other people who care about this, to really just discuss, hey, here's our poll, here's some negatives, here's some positives, let's look at this and let's talk about what's going on and see, what needs to be addressed in the future, because right now, they've done one stream about it, a short QA, and unfortunately it did not instill a lot of us with much confidence.
Maybe.
So,
Maybe.
Probably the biggest just upfront discussion is, Legacy Mode. It's a poll, the Dragonstone poll for our month of February that's been released today, January 31st, nudge nudge. And, what it is it's a poll simply to, hey, you want us to add the old combat as much as we can, side by side with the evolution of combat in the live game. And they didn't give a lot of details, and one of the major caveats about the poll is, it's open to anybody who has an account prior to 2013. Anybody. Free players, didn't quit players, anybody with a membership, which means anybody who plays old school, and anybody who currently plays the live game. Now, there's a number of problems with that on its own. There are many accounts that existed before 2013.
And a lot of them left.
As we saw last month, what was that Derp Trolling posted? 5,000 accounts alone that were hacked?
Yep.
There's accounts that all existed before 2013 that anybody could access and vote yes on. That alone is a problem in my book, just because, hey, here's accounts that aren't even playing and didn't have plans to come back, and many of them aren't even owned by their original owners who could be voting. Another problem is old school. They have the old combat there, of course. The game is set in 2007. Why, as EOC players, are we not allowed to vote on their polls and vote about the content they get? But players that play specifically old school, why are they allowed to vote on our content and core changes to our game? That's something that really confuses me and surprises me, because when you look at online players, over a third of those are usually old school players. So we currently have 57,146 players online, which means anywhere from 15 to 20k of those players are old school players right now.
Probably more.
Probably more. Those are people that play exclusively with old combat. And I question why Jagex is giving them a say in what our live game is when they have their own separate game, they get their own separate game content, and as such, aren't affected by any changes that we get anyway. Another problem is a lot of what Mod Pips has said today. There was a lovely thread released on Reddit. If you give me just a second, I'll find it. I wasn't planning on talking about it, and now I am. So, yeah, oops. That really did a great job of summarizing what happened in the live stream.
Maybe.
So, well, I mean, it wasn't. It's not opinions. It's just straight
no. That's what I gathered was.
Oh, this
mostly
isn't Trevor
said.
Yeah,
in response to the questions, maybe.
I had it like 20 minutes ago. I apologize. Give me just a second here.
Dropping the ball, man.
Yeah. Here it is. Keeping an update for all of you in regards to the stream by the user Swami Wamilu on Reddit. So, a number of these are just base changes that needed anyway. So this is basically in order what happened in the stream. Devotion is getting changed. Protect item is getting changed. That bonus XP weekend that we're voting on is getting a 2x flat rate the whole week and not a sliding scale. They're finally buffing Detonate. Thank you, God. And
Yes.
Wow, they're
Oh my
only
God.
18 months late.
yeah, really. Dual wielding will be present in Legacy. They're not going to change that. Bosses will not be changed to compensate for Legacy mode. Now, here's where the contradictions start, because they say this at the start, and then they say, oh, but we'll be changing next. But the drop tables will be changed because Legacy mode killing Virago or something of that sort that utilizes EOC abilities would make killing the boss much harder and thus rewarding. So essentially, a team of 90 people, all using Legacy mode, all go in for Virago, easily kill him because there's 90 of them, and get an increased rate at seismics and other drops. That's a bit of a problem, don't you think? Another thing, they first say Legacy will not be a switch, but rather an option for individuals who want it. It's all about choice and will not ruin content for EOC players. This is what they keep saying, and then they keep contradicting. They want to be very careful and try not to cause destruction through the markets and content through the balancing they want to do. They are not trying to update it to the extent of you'll hardly, or they're trying to update it to the extent of you'll hardly notice it's there if you're not interested in it. They're thinking about doing specific PvP worlds with Legacy only, not to artificially change combat, but notify players of, hey, you're on the same system here. The BTS video coming tomorrow is both for February and the new Legacy system, so hopefully we'll be getting more answers. People have been posting all day. Interestingly, while in-game, the Legacy system is winning, both the forums and Reddit are largely negative.
That's actually surprising. Maybe it's because of the
Maybe
vocal minority kind of thing,
but they keep saying that. Like EOC, for example, most of the posts on both the forums and Reddit were fairly positive, or at least Reddit, at least. Let's see, what else? Experience will not go back to the old system due to the limitations and hard cause on the servers. Discussion about the leveling formula for combat level will be discussed in the upcoming weeks. I.e., they're thinking about reverting to 138.
No, please. No, please.
Please no.
That's
no.
just simply a
please.
please no. It has a lot of flaws. 200 has flaws. I openly admit that. I openly agree with that.
I don't think it's possible to make a
138
combat
has a
system.
massive melee bias, which is something that EOC was designed to remove. So that can't happen. Now, this is another good thing. Granted, there are a lot of good discussion points coming out of this and changes that really should have been done. Experience for PvP kills through both Legacy and EOC will happen. That's happening. Thank God.
That does need to happen.
That for 18 months. More customizations for the interface. Woo! Special attacks will work with Legacy. Well, shields will be being buffed. Mod Dean's been talking about that for ages.
Oh yeah.
Revolution should be on the beta servers. You know, it already is.
It already is.
Now this is, I'm gonna interrupt again. This is really where a huge problem again is coming in. What was it, 5 days ago, less than that?
Mm-hmm.
The new beta launched. Which means it has Revolution on there, it has our buffed momentum, and it has our return of special attacks, which they now need to work on balancing and such. Why is it that 5 days later, they announce a poll about reverting, or re-adding old combat, when Revolution essentially solves every single problem people have been having with evolution of combat?
Yeah, I honestly... why? I just question...
I love EOC. I've openly supported it since day one, even though I know it has its problems, and I've openly discussed those problems. You can dig through my post history if you're curious about that, because I really have.
Yeah, there's no perfect way to make a combat system, but
The
EOC
problem is, running two of them side by side is just more hassle than it's worth. But, Revolution, for those who don't know, is basically this. You set up your basic abilities on your hotbar, you activate Revolution, and you attack a monster. It automatically goes through those abilities in order every time they come off cooldown, with basic attacks in between whenever possible. It is essentially old combat, but it casts abilities for you.
It's awesome.
And then the best part is, if you want to do special attacks or ultimate abilities, you press that key. It is just like a special attack, because especially special attacks are returning. We already know this. So, Revolution is literally your adrenaline bar is now your special attack bar. We now have non-weapon specific special attacks thanks to your thresholds and ultimate abilities. So why is this being pulled now, when they've essentially solved all their problems with the new beta that's hitting?
Why wouldn't they release it into the game, let it go for a couple months, and then if there's still sensing that there's a problem, if people are still complaining, which they will be, then release it and see what happens.
Exactly. It really is just such a large problem because they're taking so much time. They said it'll only take about 2 people off the combat team. Problem is, there's already a whole combat team working on these EOC changes that are already hitting. Why are we then removing people from that team to work on something that is being solved by the team right now?
Yeah, it's
What
sort of
really
just like...
should have happened is we should have gotten the Momentum Plus update and the Revolution update into the game before any of this would have been talked about. It's really a huge mistake, just in terms of a player content, because people would then be satisfied by Revolution, and we would have no need for this anyway. Another big point that I've been seeing, and I've personally been bringing up, though after I read it, it's not my source, is that one or the other will be used by players, because essentially their goal is, hey, we want to buff, legacy content to be on the same level as EOC. Basically, players will flock to whichever is easier to use with the largest damage output. So if legacy is you click and you deal massive damage, people will use it. One of the 2 systems will be used, and it's whichever Jagex makes stronger.
And all the effort used on another system will all be for naught.
Because no matter what they do, there is at least a year of wasted effort going into this. Because Jagex is not sticking to their guns. Instead of taking a look at what they have and continuing to hone and balance it, they're listening to people that already have their own version of the game with the combat stats, with the combat style they want,
or have already
and trying to shoehorn it in alongside a combat system that is totally incompatible. The reason EOC was such a huge update is they completely rewrote combat. Everything was changed. Defense is a brand new skill. Armor is completely different. Poison was changed. Magic was changed and buffed. Range is on the equal level as the others as well.
How the offhand works.
Offhand. There's offhand weapons.
Yeah, that's dual wielding is now an option.
And of course that'll work with Legacy, but they're re-adding specials just in our beta already. So why do they feel the need to shoehorn a second combat type with this? And think about how unfriendly this will be to new players. Just think about that. You log in, and there's Evolution of Combat. And then there's Revolution. And then there's Momentum. And then there's this whole thing called Legacy Mode that gets rid of all the other 3. What's going on? It's gonna be absolutely, absurdly confusing. And we already have a problem with new player population in RuneScape. Jagex is aware of that. So why are they making it even more complicated?
Yeah,
Alright, so from where we were is,
people are trying to talk.
I'm so sorry.
Yeah, but look, keep an eye on the Skype chat. If you can.
One thing I did want to add in, just, it's a little bit pointless now, but kind of what you were saying about, how we're getting all this stuff having to do with adding in all these things and all this other stuff all at one time. It's really, what's the rush in that? Like, that's sort of the question I had for people who are developing all this stuff. Just, why start rushing all this thing in game? What's really the point of that? It's not hard to just slow down and focus on other points instead of completely changing around combat and then adding in another idea to change it again.
It's also worth mentioning that this entire year is supposed to be the power to the players thing. It's February. Yeah. We can wait till July, August, never to release this thing.
Well, the ETA is they want a beta out by spring, and they hope for a summer release if this passes.
That's too early.
That's what they've spoken of so far. But this actually terrifies me. Pip said this on stream. This is all power of the players, and then he said the beta of this, if it passes, will be released into the live game when the players decide it's ready.
And they're talking about spring releases, or spring beta, whatever.
Spring beta, summer release.
To be fair,
it will be released when the players decide it's ready. I.e., they're releasing another poll, and the players who say, yes, it's ready, and that passes, it could be the most unbalanced thing in the world, but because people are so eager to get it into game, they vote yes. That scares me.
Yeah, this is precisely what I was.
And this is why we can't have nice things.
Exactly.
Yeah,
this is why these kind of questions needed to really just stay out of power to the players. It's a what update comes first kind of thing, or what one of this guaranteed update do you want? Not a are we adding this or not? Say yes or no. That's good.
Yeah,
it's just wrong.
I especially see your point, like, with how can you say that it's power to the players and then immediately contradict that statement almost entirely. And it almost makes it look like they're just using the poll system as a way... Yeah, that too, and also just to get people just to immediately start voting on stuff, and then we suddenly lose our voice on everything because, we magically have 6 things in development right now, we can't ask you for your input.
Yeah.
It just immediately blocks us off.
The other huge problem is they're not as open as they need to be. I mean, you guys remember how the Dragonstone poll ran in January. They went, Elf City or Invention, here's a tiny little blurb about it, go. And then suddenly everybody's like, wait, what? And then somebody, I don't even remember who, on the forums is like, oh yeah, Prif will be open to everybody, blah blah blah. And suddenly we're like,
Balance,
whoa,
probably? I think it was Balance.
I think it was Mod Balance. And it took them over a week to finally say, whoa, hold on, let's clear things up.
I wouldn't want to have been in those board meetings.
I would have not wanted to be Mod Balance right then. And I mean, it's not even a negative thing on him, he just didn't have the information, he shouldn't have replied. Because it caused a shitstorm.
Yeah, it was a knee-jerk reply.
Yep. Because it's just, they aren't giving us the information we need right now. These polls should really be, hey, we've got a full concept for this thing, and here's our information. Here's everything you need to know. Here's some design notes so you see what the direction we're taking this in, and then go ahead and vote on that.
Or
it really should not be, here's a tiny summary of it, vote.
Or even, I mean, this is maybe a little bit of a stretch, but even just saying something like, here's the poll, we will have more info on this date, this date, this date, and this date.
Exactly.
And watch, and nobody's going to say anything hastily, just watch these things, and then any questions that you have based on the streams, the Q&As, the whatever's, the podcasts, just look at that, here's where the information is going to be, so you can have your initial reaction, and then
go from there.
And then we'll add layers onto that, layers of like, here's some pros, here's some cons. I mean, ideally it would all be right at the beginning, but they all have to be on the same page, and that did not happen.
My other huge problem is, we forget we are in a minority of people that actually follow what they say on a regular basis.
That's true.
So if you think about it, when they release the poll, it is with the least amount of information, which means there's going to be 90 billion people voting, and then never looking back at the additional information they released.
Yep.
Never even considering, they could be saying something vastly different from what I wanted. They just voted and left. So what they really need to be doing is announce what our poll is, and then back it up with information before it opens to vote, so that anybody that's voting gets all the information needed. And it shouldn't just be a click here to vote for things like Dragonstone polls. It should be click here to read the information, understand it, and then you can vote.
But that implies reading.
Or at very least, have the information in front of your face so you can skip it and vote. So they've at least attempted to show the players what's really happening.
Like, click here to go to the news post, and at the bottom of the news post is a vote.
Exactly. That's really what needs to be happening.
What I really feel like this polling system is a way to, like, justify an action.
Justify their believed failures and trying to backpedal and bring players from the past back in really rapidly, which...
It's not that.
For 2 weeks.
I can see where this combat system's coming from. Like, we have lost a ton of players. You can't deny that, and that's because of...
I mean, we've lost a lot of bots too, but still.
But a lot of players left due to EOC and stuff like that. But I feel like they're going about this the complete wrong way. Instead of bringing back the old players, we should work on rebuilding a new player base. And it seems like they're trying to go back to the EOC players, and those EOC players are going...
This is a year too late, essentially.
Yeah.
Yes, they aren't going to come back.
It's basically, the fact that we're getting this poll after EOC is finally starting to really hit its sweet spot is just, it's bad timing.
It's almost a slap in the face for anybody who has supported EOC for
I've supported it since initial announcement. I thought it was great. I still think it's great. I think it's in such a sweet spot right now, and when these changes that are in beta hit, it's just gonna be glorious. We're gonna be riding on this trail of EOC is amazing, everybody. Thank you, I love you. But
I feel so bad for like the JMods who developed this because we're not.
Neither.
I can imagine.
It's like either one of the sides is you can't win. Like if you're on EOC side, you've lost because it's pretty clear that Jagex has
backpedal.
Either given up or I don't even know what to call it. If you're on the other side, you can't win because it's either not going to be as good or
it's not what you remember because there's core changes to the game already.
Yeah, that too. And then you can't be neutral because things are going to change regardless. So it's like
and it's going to affect you.
Yeah.
Like and then there's so many questions that you have to ask. Like how do you do a combat system when you have things like offhands, things like all of this new equipment,
it's definitely, that's something they've spoken about addressing. There's too many big things that aren't being addressed right now.
The elephants in the room.
Shall I hop back to that list?
Go for it.
Like? Alright, so now there's a couple really nice things and then a couple bad things. So I'm gonna skip the really bad thing and just talk about a couple nice things so we can sound nice and rant for a minute. So here's great. Here's some great things. Hybriding implemented finally within the EOC, and hybriding will be within Legacy also. Quick armor switching.
Finally.
Legacy, EOC will not be better than Legacy. Legacy will not be better than EOC.
How exactly is that going to happen?
I don't. Legacy
I have something to say about that. But
this is just. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Well, I mean, it's super simple, super obvious. But how exactly are you going to say that Legacy isn't going to be better than EOC, or they're going to be on par when Legacy takes exactly zero effort to do anything except for maneuvering through interfaces.
And it's all interface game, while EOC has a lot of what ability am I using at this time.
In my perspective, I feel like the best case scenario is that everyone is going to abandon Legacy except everyone is going to abandon the EOC except when bossing, or when. Or, maybe PB, no, that's a lie.
I have a lot of stuff to say about the bossing thing, because that just bothers me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Can we try and circle back to that at the end?
Yeah, we'll get there.
Yeah, that's fine. Do it.
That's something that has to be mentioned.
Because I definitely want to kind of just go through the stuff that Pips is still addressing, just so we go through the information we definitely have on hand.
And
carry on.
At the beginning of this whole EOC process, when it was first came out, I remember them talking about, we want to create a sense of individuality so that a player, people will be wearing all sorts of different armors that will suit their playstyle and stuff like that. Do you guys remember that?
Yep.
Yeah.
Well, this feels like it's going against, the very core of that, because if everyone's just going to use one combat system over another, it's going to bring back that whole, you've got 12,000 people who are wearing a Bandos Tasset or Chestplate or whatever.
Or in this case, because Torva's dropped in price so much, Torva.
Yeah. Because Torva isn't going to be as valuable. One of the things they wanted to do with defense or with armor is remove the hit points value from it entirely, so that pures don't need high defense in order to stay alive.
Can we shoot?
Say about pure.
So, since you mentioned armor, like I said, we'll get back around to that. But since you mentioned armor, I just wanted to throw that out there, and that's why I'm scared prices will drop so heavily, is that suddenly defense isn't needed for good armor and good health anymore. It'll be all about your armor values and what you can block from the style you're strong against. So, armor prices will... They keep saying it's not going to affect the market, and then they talk about these drastic armor changes.
But it will affect the market.
Yes, I mean, there's no way you can't even think about changing anything in combat without affecting the market.
This is almost hilarious, but I was just about to say, let's talk to the next bullet point, and I look at the next bullet point, and it was what I just said. So carry on.
Nice.
You can't change anything in the game without changing the market.
Yeah.
You can't even change a set of boots without changing the market.
I mean, it's more climbing boots. Did you guys see how crazy hilarious high the prices went for all God Swords and Dragon Claws the moment the new beta came out?
Uh-huh.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
There were people standing at the GE, this cracked me up, screaming, hey guys, I really need a weapon. Can you sell me some Dragon Claws? For some reason they're not buying, like trying to scam everybody out of their claws so they can sell them at a higher price.
Yeah.
Always cracked me up.
Like, you can change the market just by announcing something.
Yeah.
Like I want to say, I had a personal problem with this earlier today. I got 96 Herblore earlier today,
Nice.
and I was having trouble, and last night I was actually I got it last night, but last night I was buying my materials, and Wines of Zamorak wouldn't sell. So I was like, okay, whatever, I'll just leave an offer up, and it'll get here, and it'll show up when it gets here. I have a bunch in my bank, whatever. The poll hits today, and I immediately know, shit, I won't be able to buy this for anything close to GE price for the next 3 weeks because of the goddamn bonus XP weekend.
Yeah.
So I ended up buying 280 Wines of Zamorak for 7,800 or something a piece.
Yeah. Now, see, the reason they spiked last night is because they sneakily announced the thing about the 2X on Twitter before they released the news poll.
Oh, did they?
So people that were paying attention were like, instant buyout, let's go.
Oh, I didn't see that. But I had no problems buying most of the other stuff.
Yeah. Now,
So,
I mean,
that's
remember when
strange,
Prestige
but-
was announced, before it even got shot down? All high-level prices shot up. Low-level prices shot up for a little while. Somebody goes like, oh, we're retraining from level 1? Let's buy those Guam for 10k each. Seriously, I'm not kidding.
Dear God.
If you go back and look at the GE market values for pretty much any low-level resource at the time that isn't horribly easily obtainable, there's just a slight spike around Prestige announcement, and then as soon as it got shot down, drop.
I never noticed that, but that's interesting.
It was very slight, it wasn't as massive, because it was so up in the air, because we couldn't see the poll results right off the bat.
I mean,
But still, it was pretty funny.
it just goes to show you, like, how,
Volatile the market is.
yes, like, to every little announcement and change in the game. You can't say, oh, it won't affect anything, because you know it will affect.
Just saying, hey, we're thinking about removing hit points from armors. Boom! Every armor price drops.
I'm pretty sure the only update that has not affected the market ever was when they bought the unbuyable, when they made the unbuyable item, the thingy mabob.
The thingy mabob.
No, it was
Yes.
called a thingy in the description.
That's the technical term.
No, literally, it was an item called Thingy that was released on the GE that you couldn't buy, and its examine text was Mabob.
What?
It was a glitched item, so one of the JMods noticed it and jokingly changed the description, not realizing it could be seen on the GE.
Oh.
Eh.
I missed that,
Yeah.
but
It's pretty funny. It was a while ago.
It did not affect the market.
Not at all. Now the items market price went crazy, just like Shark Soup. Never available, was on the GE for 1 GP. By the time they removed it, it was sitting at like 18k GP because everybody was hoping that it would randomly be released and they could buy one first.
really.
But, I mean, what would you do with the first shark soup in the game?
I have Shark Soup #1 selling 48 mil.
And some idiot will buy it.
Some idiot will buy it.
Because
Hey, look, it's Shark
idiots-
Soup. It's a brand new rare item. Buy it from me. Okay. Done.
I don't know what it does, but okay, sounds good.
Soup.
World
I'm
2
hungry.
logic.
Let's go.
Anyways.
But yeah. Okay. So after this, couple more nice things. Staves might be able to be one-handed in the future,
That would
but with
be
the
nice.
stats of wands with the abilities of staves.
I
find
what-
that odd. Why don't they just fill out wands?
I'm going to say this right now. I really hope that the stuff that the staves that provide runes
Yeah.
become one-handed. Because
That would
I
be so-
want my Tome of Frost to be
Exactly.
fucking useful again.
Also nice. Shield staves might be introduced in the game. Please, just do it.
Ooh.
You
I
mean
like that. I dig that because we have shield bows.
That's
Please. Shield reworks is basically visual communication will be changed through graphics to consist of what it was like before EOC. To give a feel of what it used to be like, visual cues would be added. Now, what this seems to be is a combination of when you use an ability, it's very obvious what that is, and old hit splats.
It almost seems like it's trying to just appease people who want to act like that
This
never
isn't
disappeared.
2007scape.
Yeah.
The current hit splats are very effective to show exactly what it is, but people seem desperate to get their 0 hits back instead of misses. But I really think our current hit splats look very sleek and fit with what the game looks like. I would really appreciate if they didn't change it.
I vote for them not changing it. Yeah.
But level 80, 85, and 90 weapons getting special attacks will be put up to a vote.
I think as I said, and I was going to put make a thread, and then this came out, which sucked all of the energy that I was going to put into a thread out of me. But I think 90s should not. 85 and 80 absolutely should, and it should all be offhand. But
yeah. I still want to see that offhand suggestion come out. Let's see. Another thing they mentioned was poison potions may stay the same. This says will, but I went back and looked around, and it seems they're vaguely considering letting us poison weapons again. Or at least weapons will have poison on them, like the Vine Whip may regain its poison.
That would be
nice.
And
I would love that, because it would really give some value to that higher tier whip. Legacy and EOC simply can't be changed at will to get higher DPS. You have to go to a safe area such as a bank to change between the two. Whoop-de-doo. More bank space available through Solomon. Sweet. I have no problems with that.
Okay.
Looking at adding combat stats to regular armor, like the plus strength, plus range strength, plus magic strength, back to armor. I think this would be a great change for power armor, because right now it's just here's your flat damage buff, and it's nothing huge. Yeah. I would absolutely love if we now got those strength buffs as percentage bonus damage. So, your level, 70 power armor will have, a 2% damage buff. So everything you hit gets that increase in a specific style. So it has plus 2% melee strength, plus 2% magic strength. I think that would be pretty nice.
Yeah.
It would definitely pump some value back into the next armors.
Oh yeah.
And into Cyrenic scales and all of those things.
They're sitting at 500k on the GE. I got one yesterday off a random. I inadvertently clicked on one of the Skultari in the
Gotta love it.
I managed to kill it, and it dropped to Cyrenic scale. So I'm like, sweet, and I would go to sell it, and I had to sell it at half price.
Whew. So you had to sell it for $250?
Yeah, I got about $250, maybe $300k for it.
Ouch.
And it's sitting at slightly below 500k right now.
Ugh.
Dungeoneering will allow you to use both Legacy and EOC in the same party. Okay, whatever. I don't really know how that's gonna work, but whatever. I mean, Dungeoneering is before EOC, so I mean, it's not that drastic.
Dungeoneering's been a mess since EOC came out.
Oh god, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, potentially this could really reinvigorate, in a way, how Dungeoneering runs. And I'm okay with that. There's been a lot of talk, people are saying, hey, instead of just shoving this in all the game,
do that, though.
why don't you go and put the old school combat only in the wilderness, and make the wilderness only old combat, and leave PVM and everything outside of the wilderness entirely EOC combat. And I'm like, I can live with that. Legitimately, I really can.
That just seems like a massive,
It still has problems, but it helps keep balance in a way.
It isolates them,
It isolates massive problems and keeps it to PvP alone. It allows them to say, hey, go ahead, Piers, you have a ball, because that'll be wilderness only.
It contains them, but
I would be okay with that. I'm still not, but just in a way, I'm more comfortable with that.
I have a problem with Piers. Should I?
I just don't understand why they want to support them.
The ideology behind Piers, it is
reward for not training.
It's abusing parts of the combat system.
Yeah.
The 138 formula, that was the new 200 formula was designed so that it would end Piers. And that was for a very good reason. It's because that they were trying to abuse the combat system and prey on players who weren't knowing what they were doing.
I am standing here nodding like a madman.
And that's not something that I feel like Jagex should condone or support.
Indeed.
and like continue to add. They were a player base.
Mm-hmm.
I won't say if they were good or bad, but they were a player base.
I will say they were bad, but okay.
I mean, another thing is if you really think about it, in the EOC, pures are entirely possible. They're what we call glass cannons.
Well, why I say they're bad is not because pures inherently are bad. Gina, please.
Nice.
That was too
Anyways, it's not because pures are inherently bad, it is because their mindset is horrendous.
Yeah. We should be rewarded for not training skills.
And they would whine and complain when things required said skills that they refused to train. And it's just like, I don't even.
I disagree with that mindset, very much so.
And like, I don't understand why we want to, well, I can understand why we want to bring them back, but I don't understand why don't we just try and rebuild, like, that's my main...
Why don't we really design a glass cannon role around them then? If they're so interested in that. Like, basically, essentially, a character that has no defense and low hit points, but can dish out massive amounts of damage in a short amount of time. Many other MMOs have characters like that. We call them rogues.
It'd be interesting if they somehow balanced, it wouldn't even necessarily be balancing so much, but
it would just be create in such a way that it works in the combat
but
system. Like somebody...
They've gotta have some way of doing that. I can think of ways in my head, but they probably don't make sense, so I don't think I'm gonna even bother mentioning them. But like, there are things that you could do to tweak weapons, make some kind of niche, like if you have less than X number of defense or less than X, some massive buff, you're eligible for some buff, like, I don't know.
I don't even know, but...
It would just be...
Being able to design a system like that, instead of sitting there saying, we support pures, create a way for that kind of combat to exist properly in the game.
Or even just introduce some kind of a spec.
Yeah.
While we're introducing special attacks, why don't we introduce a special that...
Your defense is drastically lowered, but your damage output is... your
it's
defense
like plus
is set
50% damage, but minus 200% defense. Well, if you have no defense to begin with, who cares? You get a huge damage boost, but everybody else will just get wrecked.
Mm-hmm. So it really, that sort of thing would really be a great way to introduce pures, is give them that option, because if your defense isn't going down because your defense is already very low level, but your damage output is increased, that's a way to improve and potentially encourage a pure mindset.
Basically.
In a way that doesn't force you to not train skills. In fact, once that ability is off, you're then free to go back to your normal combat without having to worry about the fact that you're running around in bronze armor.
Yeah, basically, if you want to support pures, which I don't think any of us here do, the way to do it is not to go back to the 138 combat system.
Agreed.
The way to do it is a different way.
I'm glad you guys are being so constructive about this, because I feel like this entire time I've been deconstructing arguments and
Let's put it this way. I was at work from 5 o'clock to 9 o'clock. I spent the entire time considering everything about this. Every free moment I got, I'm sitting at my computer furiously typing. I really want this to not fail like all their other combat change releases have in the past, and then it takes them a year to scramble and finally get things kind of working. If this is going to happen, I want it to be released in such a way that works.
You want it
because
to be done right.
If it's not, we're gonna have problems, and I don't want that for this game.
Yep.
Meanwhile, you guys are getting my first impression, ladies and gents, so,
but it works.
What?
I heard singing. Alright, let's see, where shall we step?
Should we talk about cave culture?
That's a great way to put it.
Sure, why not?
So,
okay.
There are these people that live in caves, and
they're called troll. Oh, sorry.
So really what I'm getting out of that line is essentially, Jagex is taking what we call listen to the players, and not listening to them, but agonizing over them. There's listening to your players and then being ruled by your players, and they are taking it too far. And people whined about wanting old combat, so they added it to 07. Nobody recently, aside from people that are basically spam thread, insta-locked, are saying, bring it back.
Yeah, I don't know how the forums are because I'm not an active member on the forums, but I do want to mention that, and I hope that I don't get in trouble from Mod Jack for saying this, but he said it in the CC, so I'm not terribly worried. But he came in this morning and he was actually warned by several people not to come in because, as you can imagine, this CC was rather flamey, spammy. Oh yeah, whatever you want to call it.
I'm actually so glad my game decided not to work at school today because I'm kind of scared that how bad it would have been.
Oh,
how tainted my mind would have been about this.
There were 2 people that were supporting, and about 8 of us who were not. And the 2 people that were supporting just couldn't see anything wrong with the thing, and we were all like, "Ugh. You were daft." But that is irrelevant. But Jack came in and said that Pips has been talking like this, like the kind of, well, what do the players actually want? Like, and Mod Jack said explicitly, like, and I think he may have misspoken here, and because I called him out on it, but he was like, so in the past we would have just released Legacy, and then maybe the players wanted it, maybe they didn't, but we didn't really know. And Mod Pips has been in every meeting for like months and months and months, maybe longer, has been like, well, what do the players actually want? This is all entirely his brainchild, and I just
I mean, Mod Pips, you've done some great stuff for the game, but seriously, you need to be giving more information, and you really need to consider what do your current players actually want.
And what do the intelligent players that aren't...
the people that take
and I'm not
the time.
saying... And what I'm not saying now is being elitist and being like, oh, we're so much better because we pay attention. Well, the fact of the matter is we do pay attention, and we care about it enough to pay attention.
We are sitting here at nearly an hour's worth of a vlog, just simply discussing the news that's been released today. Yeah. I'd say that's pretty dedicated, and I'd say that's paying attention.
Yeah, I will say that this is, well, first of all, it's going a lot better than I expected.
You're very welcome.
It's probably the calmest thing that we've ever done, but I can see, like, it's sort of, it really is, but the thing with Pips, it's kind of like, the people he's trying, with this concept, the people that they're trying to appease are the ones that, or really the ones that actually want the old combat system, are the ones that never wanted EOC to exist in the first place.
Exactly.
They were not open to it, they did not want it. Most of them even quit or stopped playing as frequently because of it.
And people...
it's sort of...
Sorry, I need to
go on,
sorry, it's okay, but it's sort of the people that they're never going to appease. There's always going to be, well, if it's a game mode, why can't we just make it the entire game and no one else gets it? There'll be like BS arguments like that going around all the time, but it's still, even though you give them a game mode, it's not going to be their perfect game mode. They want EOC to not happen.
Oh yeah.
What's even worse is these are the people that we call the unpleasables. The people that really, unfortunately, just... There's an update released, and they're not happy with it.
The great
old combat could be entirely re-added, and they would still find something to whine about, and these are the people that Pips is aiming to please.
Oh yeah, the great thing is that apparently on the YouTube video that they released that announced this earlier today, the first comment at one point was...
We didn't ask
this is awful because EOC still is in the game.
Yep.
I'm like, are you shitting me? Mm-hmm. You got everything that you could ever hope for. If you really want it that badly to just not exist, there's 07 for you.
Old school.
Yeah. Go to the place where nothing recent exists.
Yeah.
I mean, on YouTube, the land of trolls and haters of old school, I got 5 upvotes on a comment that I made 8 hours after the video came out. Saying, sorry, but no, this is bullshit and a massive waste of time. Dump this idea. If people want old combat, please just play old school. Leave RuneScape 3 out of this.
I actually had somebody find one of my
upvotes and constructive replies.
I know, right?
YouTube.
Shocking. I actually got a couple supporting favorites on one of my tweets, which I will not repeat in here. But yeah, there's a lot more. I think from the people who understand what's going on, there is a lot of support for rethinking this, and it's a large majority of the votes that have just like automatically been cast have been by people who, as we've mentioned before, see, oh hey look, a vote. Legacy. That sounds interesting. Yes. And then they never think about it again.
What's interesting is the people that are willing to sit down and talk about it, or even willing to just think about it, are largely negative. I'm seeing a lot of negative responses. First 20 pages of poll feedback. First page is, Legacy can work, here's why. Legacy mode, good or bad? Legacy mode will ruin the game.
Yeah.
Will it be as efficient as EOC? Thank you, but don't keep both. Should require 75% support. Power to the players? Ha! Legacy, genius scam. Castle Wars and Soul Wars, Legacy only, please. Make PvP Legacy only, and revolutionary PvP suggestion.
I can see.
AKA, there's a lot of stuff saying, how is this gonna work? Make this a specific requirement, because this sucks. I mean, just going into the threads alone.
I can see something like this needing 75%. Like, this is a seriously gigantic change, and it needs...
I was at school. I was at school when this was announced, so I was basically relying off whatever people would feed me. So, I asked, they announced the poll, and I'm like, oh, what's the requirement? Because this is gonna need a requirement. And they go, whoever wins. I'm like, wait, you mean like 75%, 80%? No, whoever wins. What?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, like, at this rate, it's guaranteed to be in game. Like,
we're one day in, this runs till the end of the month, but like we mentioned earlier in the podcast, is, people are not going to follow up. There are people out there that play 07 that are just gonna click yes and never look back.
Yeah, they'll hear it from friends. They'll say,
don't play, and never look back.
Yep.
And
there are people that used to play, hear it from a friend, never look. Yeah. Sorry, go ahead, Lime. I cut you off 3 times in rapid succession.
Make that 4, but
and 5.
But they will vote, and then they will continue to play old school, and they won't come on to RS3, even though they voted and made a change. And, like, what gives? It's also pretty much my thought about this.
It's also a case of those that they will bring back, 95% of them will quit within 2 weeks anyway. They'll probably, if they have a money stash that hasn't been hacked or whatever, then they'll use it, they'll buy a bond and say, okay, let's see how this is. And then after 2 weeks or whatever, the bond lasts 2 weeks, so we'll call it 2 weeks, they'll probably get bored and be like, oh, this is stupid, this really isn't that,
This isn't old combat, there's a lot of different stuff, I don't like this is stupid.
Yep, and then they'll leave. And you'll be left with the exact same population, except minus a few EOC people that quit because of this, and plus
minus people that supported this legacy content or combat and were really just satisfied with how it came out.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, as I mentioned, because they've been saying, I mean, Pip said this, that it'll be released when players decide it's ready. That's scary to think about because of just the statistics of the people that are voting on this.
Yeah.
Because I would absolutely love a weekend, like next week, for them to release a statistic of how many people that voted yes currently actively play the live game.
Yes.
Have logged in for more than 5 hours in the past month. Or let's say more than 10 hours in the past month.
Yep.
That's not too hard to think about. I mean, just pulling an hour every day gets me 20-something hours.
I would say 5 hours in the month, because there are definitely people that...
Of the live game, not 07.
Yes, the live game, that play on the weekends, that are just weekend people because they're busy in the week or whatever.
Yeah, and then a statistic of people that played in the last month, not at all, and then people that exclusively play 07.
I'm actually feeling confident. Make that 1 hour. Just one.
I wouldn't, because...
that's a little low.
If they announce... I mean, that really is just a little low. That's logging in for less than 5 minutes a day. That's basically log in, do my spins, log out.
Well, yeah, but, like, some people don't even log in. Like,
Yeah. But I mean, yeah, okay, why don't we do that? A tier of 30 hours in the last month, 20 hours in the last month, 10 hours in the last month, 5 hours, 1 hour, no hours, 07 exclusively. And I have just this really nasty feeling in my gut that the majority of these votes are coming from people who aren't logging over 10 hours a week.
Yeah.
And that actually is true.
I do think that...
Because, our connection might be a little funky. Is anybody logged in currently?
I am.
Can you tell me what the numbers on the poll is, positive and negative?
Just the numbers on Legacy Combat.
Who's voted yes on Legacy? How many people voted yes on Legacy? How many people voted no?
For yes, so far it's 69,845, and for no thanks is 24,045. And also, wait.
This is about 70. Gina, please.
Also,
no opinion?
One thing I will say is that I've already heard back from a couple people that I know have either drastically slowed down their gameplay or even entirely quit for months on end. I want to say it's like 5 different people who have just spammed me over Skype recently saying, yay, it's coming back, old combat's coming back, yay, I'm playing again. They're the people who haven't even touched the game in months.
They don't know how EOC is currently working. They
have no idea how it
beta
works.
changes. So that means 93,890 people have voted on this poll.
It's about 70-30.
Current live numbers, like I mentioned, playing currently in-game, are 55,363. Of that, I would average maybe 30k are playing the live game right now. And I'd say we maybe have 150k, 200k active members. Currently hugely active members.
Yeah.
And this is
that means in one day, on a Friday, when everybody has school, Lime was not even aware of this poll today until we just mentioned it to him. That means we have almost double the amount of players that are currently online at all, and somewhere around triple the amount of current playing Evolution of Combat members have voted.
That does seem
already.
like an extremely high number.
That's crazy high.
Yeah.
I'm gonna be paying very close attention to how many people vote by the end of this, because if they don't release stats, I'm gonna be working on just averaging out member amounts.
It's already going up to almost 70k.
I think you might want to make a thread or a tweet at somebody on...
You want to go ahead and read me those numbers again, Kitten? I'm writing down right now what we've got.
It's actually already... Do you want the updated version or the previous?
Yeah, just go ahead and give me the
updated.
What's happening right now.
69,893 and 24,061.
So 70k and 24k. So
93,954. So 11 p.m. EST on the 31st January 2014. We have 93,954 votes. And that's, how many of those were yes? 60... Sorry.
69,893.
69,893. Thank you. Okay. Alright, I will be updating these stats daily, at least.
I think it's just, I think at some point you should make a thread that requests these statistics, just because I think it's worth it for Jagex to know who the people that are voting on these things is.
I'm gonna give it about 4 days just before I pop this up, simply because right now forums are a spam fest. And if you're not making a wild accusation or just a large thread,
it'll get swallowed up.
Buried, dead.
I think
so I'm gonna give it a couple days, I'm gonna make sure I collect my stats as much as I can, and then I'll put this up as soon as possible.
We have a couple more points we want to mention.
Yep.
Lime has something he really does want to say about cave culture. I'm sorry, I totally obliterated your discussion with my troll comment.
We started on it, and
that
then
was,
we kind of got off
that was
topic
my fault.
This.
So go on.
It's fine.
I mean, to be fair, we made a lot of good points anyway, but yeah, let's go ahead and talk about that version. Sure.
What I'm really worried about is that Jagex has already set a precedent. Like, they released old school, they released all of this old stuff, cave to the players, and yeah, it's really good that they're listening to players, but I don't think that Jagex should be run by players. Like, that's what this whole power to the players thing is about. But if you're just listening to a bunch of players ranting, then it only encourages them to rant some more.
Yeah. I mean, somebody I don't know who it was. It was earlier on Skype. I was sitting in math class bored out of my mind, so I don't remember specifically who it was.
I see you
I do this a lot, actually. You will see me online most often active during my math class.
God damn it. Anyways,
that actually explains how you have like 500 quests written.
Yeah, but
what even is math?
Introduced their Bring Your Own Technology at my school properly, so I'm allowed to use my laptop. But somebody said already, like the poll was announced, and then they said, "Fuck this." It's Trevor. That's who it was. He said, "Fuck this. They're never satisfied." And he links the thread, and I said, "Sorry, I'm in class. Can't click this thread because it's dumbass school internet. What is it?" And he goes, "Give me a summary." And he goes, "The thread is titled Life Points to 990? ?
Oh dear God.
Already, within minutes of, hey, we're looking at re-adding old combat, instantly, hey, all that stuff from before, let's do it!
Let's not.
Yeah. Really.
Because there were massive issues with that, like eating food.
Yeah. Now sometimes, even yesterday, I was literally, whenever I fight, the Ascension guys, and I try to use the, sacrifice ability, I'm always like, if we were on 990 hit points, I would have gotten that heal, damn it. Because, oftentimes I'll land it and I'll be like, 54 health left on your monster.
Oh, I hate that so much.
And so you get that reduced heal. So like every time I'm like, if we had 990 combat, I would have gotten that heal, damn it. But still, it doesn't need to revert.
Yeah, I've gotten it a couple times where it left me the critter with 3 HP. I was like,
I had one happen to me yesterday, and I was sitting in the middle of science, and I'm sitting next to one of my good pals who also brings his laptop in, and he looks over, and, the teacher's talking, and then there's this quiet, from me. My friend looks over and goes, what's wrong? And I go, fucking monster. My teacher looks over and goes, you okay? I'm like, I'm fine, I swear, I'm taking notes.
I promise I'm taking notes.
Well, I split screen it. I have my notes on the side, and I just rapidly type it all, and then instantly go back to fighting mobs.
I've done that before.
But, it's just that quiet. I was about mid-health, and I didn't want to have to eat my egg potato yet. Sacrifice, it would have been like a 900 heal. 899.
God. Yeah, anyways, Lime, you had one more thing you wanted to say that is kind of important.
But this thing, it's not really necessary, legacy mode, and it just, all that it feels like is that it's shunting quests, but they came into this and said, oh, we want to release more quests this year, so we're doing this, so the community can get more involved and release, and say, oh, we want this lore, we want this lore.
Now, I would really just like to cut in, I apologize, I've been doing this to you all podcast, but we don't have the February BTS yet, so we don't know if we're getting a quest this month. So I want to add that disclaimer at the start of this.
Yeah.
But it still feels like quests are being shunted backwards.
It does. It really does. And the first thing, my first
thing Chip said was, this will not affect our content development. This won't affect getting your Elf City, blah blah blah.
Yeah, that's bullshit.
Then,
but
we all know it will.
Yeah,
the beta is our content. And we're losing two developers on that.
My first reaction was, well, that's 3-4 months of dev time that is completely gone, that will never come back, and that has no right to go anywhere to begin with. And that was my first reaction. I of course went and I ranted at the CC with several other people, and the people there were like, but that's not a problem. There's gonna be devs doing that, and it's like, I'm just like, you people, you do not understand that a developer, unless his name is Chris L., cannot do everything.
Yeah.
You can't, there is a very finite amount of time that a developer has to work on whatever they're working on.
That,
I mean, and Chris has been such a huge proponent of EOC. Really. It would not be where it is right now if he had not really dedicated himself.
Yeah, this is Maximum Phase 2, I don't know how he would tolerate this.
It's probably actually because of him that EOC exists in the first place. Because wasn't it him who said that Nex was as far as he could go in the old combat system? That was as complex of a boss as he could have designed.
So he literally change the combat system so we could design harder bosses.
Exactly.
10 out of 10.
Because Chris L is an absolute boss. But
exactly. We need a mod Chris L boss now.
God.
just his face in like pixel art sprite just flying around shooting lasers.
Yeah.
While eating
that
a sandwich.
That requires like the surge to dodge the lasers.
While eating a sandwich. Because it's his lunch break.
Yes, please.
Boom. Okay, Kitten, you wanted to say something?
Yeah, it kind of goes along with the whole too soon. Where like it's the issue of they're working on so many things. What's the point of piling on more combat updates? But sort of on the topic of quests, aren't they already trying to optimize the combat scaling thing?
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, that's
like,
true.
Oh
yeah, that's a thing. Yeah. Okay, you're good to go. We had some technical difficulties because
Gordon's computer derped up. It's all its fault. Blame him. Ha!
Yes, that is.
Laugh at him.
Lime.exe has crashed.
Anyways,
yeah, you crashed his. Recording.
You crashed his computer.
I believe Kitten was in the middle of talking about combat scaling and probably has ranted about this already, but I missed it and the recording certainly missed it. So go on if you wish.
Dear God, it was a good rant.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Basically, sort of, if they decide to expand all the combat, like an option for the old combat system into quests. Lime wanted me to mention this, but it would add on development time. First of all, it would be a nightmare considering combat scaling isn't even finished yet, and it doesn't even work in most cases. That's been proven with like Burn the Beast, and even Death of Chivalry was even kind of a joke when it came to combat scaling.
Well,
oh my God.
the Burn the Beast was okay.
Yeah, the problem was
passable.
mid-level players got such a large boost. It wasn't quite balanced.
It wasn't. It wasn't.
I was fairly satisfied with Death of Chivalry in terms of their damage soaking, but they just didn't deal enough damage back.
Well,
that was the issue. It's just bosses that can't hit you with incredible amounts of health.
MPD
like
had the same thing.
Delrith had combat scaling, but he did like all your health ever. So they tuned it down so it didn't do enough damage anyway.
Damn it, Cheetah.
Typing on this shit.
Yeah, that was actually big.
Anyways.
Alright, anyway.
But yeah, I think I mentioned stuff like, sort of just revising the argument a little bit, but if just thinking of all the glitches and all the insane amounts of development that would have to go into just redoing quest bosses to appease people who think that they need old combat all the time. So in their quests that they haven't even done, they want it to be if they did on an old account, they want it to be the same way as that. They don't want EOC in this. And stuff like that, like, old combat bosses would just terrify me. Because there'd be a million glitches with that. It would just be scary. But,
and if you think about it, bosses that are specifically for old combat will be just destroyed by EOC with ease. Why bother designing like that?
Unless
they purposely bar you from getting into it.
Yeah.
Which isn't that exactly what what they're saying they won't do? Yeah, I don't believe that. But anyways.
Anyway. Also I sort of wanted to game sounds.
Gina, please, we can hear your music.
So yeah, you can hear me just doing something entirely normal.
Mute your music!
Yeah, mute your music.
I do not need to hear your in-game sounds!
Yeah, I found my
music.
Okay, anyways.
Right, anyway.
But basically, overall, combat scaling, that's not even done yet, and then they're trying to add in this, which could potentially bleed into quests. Then there's it's too complicated.
It's overburdening the game.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's overburdening the developers.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Nobody should have to go through that sort of like mental just stress of how do we make all of this work and not get people killing us or the game killing people.
Yeah, like, developers are human beings. They don't have the time Giant doesn't have time, resources to do this stuff, and the developers, they don't have we can't expect them to have superhuman mental capabilities to go through all of this. It will be hell on earth.
Of course,
devs will basically design around which combat system they prefer.
Yeah, of course, you do have to say that the counter argument to that is, well, if they really didn't have the time, they wouldn't have even put this to a vote. But I don't think the problem with that argument is that it wasn't put to this vote. It does not seem like it was well thought out before it was put to vote. So
yeah, I mean, if what Jack said is accurate, that's just especially worrying. That Pips is like, what do the players want constantly, and then finally he's just like, screw it, put it out now.
Yeah. I mean, because and he has a point to a point,
but just not this pointy.
It's not not this pointy. It's listen to the things that the people that care want.
Yeah.
Not listen to the
people that whine.
The uneducated masses, I guess.
Well, I don't like saying that.
I don't either, but I mean, it really it
proves itself to be true a little too often, sadly.
Yeah, I mean,
there's the vast majority of people talking is usually just complainers that can't back up their argument because they don't either don't experience the game enough or they just don't know what they're saying.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It turns into a whole psychological argument too.
I do wonder if they'd put the prestige vote in game. What would the results have been?
That's a really interesting
thing.
Because
probably
clearly it was rather negative on the. Well, it was slightly. It was like what?
I mean,
50,
the forums were like, "This could be awkward,
something?
but I can see it working. Let's change some stuff." But then the votes were just drastic.
It was like 45-55, wasn't it? And it needed 75 or higher.
Mm-hmm.
So it was relatively really split on the forums. I just wonder what it would have been in game. Because, I mean, you see, if the legacy thing was only on the forums, what would it get? It seems like it would be overwhelmingly negative. There'd be very, very, very few people voting positive, and a whole host of people voting negative. And maybe it's just the entire vocal minority thing that people like to mention, and I have mentioned it in the past, but it doesn't seem like it.
You know,
it seems like anybody who's talking about it thinks it's a bad idea.
Yeah. You know what I think would be absolutely hilarious? Would be to vote on the poll, you have to write a paragraph about why you've made the vote, and your vote won't count until it's been approved. I wish they had the staff to do that.
I'd love to see that.
My God, would that be so drastically different.
Just what do you want and why?
Yeah.
So, are you voting yes or no? I vote yes because blah blah blah. I vote no because blah blah blah. And everybody's like, lol, old combat please would be denied a vote. Everybody's like, fuck old combat, no, would also be denied.
They would also be denied a vote.
Equal opportunity denial. Have a constant live stream of who's ever's reading them. Approve them so people can even see exactly why they're approving.
You just put Mod Stu on it; he'll do it all night.
Yeah, another 14-hour thing, but that would be actually really interesting.
That would be.
I could only imagine how many of these votes would then just be completely illegitimate.
To be fair, some of them might not be legible because they're not in English, but.
Yeah. But I mean, Google Translate's fairly good now.
Yeah, I guess.
that got a couple updates of its own.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah. Anyways, so I think we wanted to mention bosses like in a serious manner, and
yes, I wanted to bring that up very badly.
Yes, so we're going to do that, and I think that'll be enough for this rather lengthy vlog.
Okay, well, this is like please guys don't break your game.
That's really our biggest question is, I mean,
Gina, please.
Yeah.
If you would waited literally 5 seconds to do that. I was just about to say, you know how interesting it would be if we were actually able to like drag mod Pips onto maybe like a half-hour QA session with just us and him?
Oh my god.
Oh, that'd be nice.
Just, like, as soon as I said the mod Pips name, she goes, and if you were not worth nothing, that would have been just...
That would have been amazing.
Oh dear.
But I think
I
it would turn into a roast.
Adore the opportunity to just sit down and chat with the people that are in charge of this, just to say, hey, we really do. We're willing to sit down and, I want to see this work because people want this to work, but we have some major, major issues that need to be addressed, and I'd really like some confirmation about that you're willing to address them and how you plan to address them, because the live stream today caused more worries than...
Yeah, more than ever now, I would love to sit down with a JMod and talk. Talk things out. Like, it...
Because right now, unfortunately, really all they're doing is, here's a live stream, we'll answer, a couple questions that people are saying, and that's it.
And I'd really love, and I don't, and I know that it'll never happen in this manner, but I'd love to talk about it off the record. Like just hear what they're actually thinking about this. Do they actually think it's a good idea? Are they actually on board with this? Do they think that this is going to cause the best? Cause, and I may be reading into it, but
last time JMods went off the record, some of them got fired.
Yeah, I know, and that's why I'm like, that's never gonna happen.
In terms of EOC and what they were thinking about that.
Yeah.
I'm just like...
But,
especially because the person in charge is so heavily positive towards this that JMods that are really saying, no, this isn't gonna work, it scares me.
Yeah, I know. It seems like there's... I don't know. It's hard to say. And...
Yeah.
Anyways, Kitten,
your
turn.
Yeah.
A bit of just some of the boss spam. First, kind of starting out like semi-quest, little segue to bossing, but if the whole old combat idea ever bleeds into quests, it could get into the Dominion Tower too, and that has already been a living nightmare in multiple cases.
The balancing on that thing is so delicate right now.
Yeah, it's another issue on its own.
Like I said, they say they want a spring beta, and that they'll have it balanced by the time it's released, but then Pips goes and says, oh, it won't take a lot of development time, we'll only put like 2 people on it. But then, how on earth will it be developed by time? That's just wrong.
Many elements. Yeah, there are too many elements to combat, especially in PVM situations. There's no way they'll get it done that quickly unless formulas are suddenly just half-assed.
Unless the design is, if we're not specifically designing to make it work, we're ignoring it, and players that play Legacy will have to deal with it. And that's kind of what I think is just, there are specific things we're going to balance, and everything else, either deal with it, don't do it, or use the EOC combat for it, because you're not going to be able to do it otherwise.
I don't even think it's possible for them to put it through, live testing.
Think how long it just took EOC to develop, and then it was in beta for 7 or 8 months.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
and the only reason they released it is because there were so few people in the beta that they just were forced to get further feedback.
The time schedule on this is just overly optimistic.
Oh, yeah.
A long shot.
It's insane.
Sad
it should have been. It should have been treated like EOC.
It is a wish.
Because that's what I was so positive about towards the new combat beta is they said we refuse to release this all into the game until we're certain it's ready. La-di-da, we can pick and choose parts of this that we want, that you guys think are totally ready, and we'll slowly implement them in the game. I'm like, you guys got this right. And then
this happens.
And then Pips goes and says, we'll leave it up to the players when it's ready. And I'm just like, look what's going on with the poll already, man. That's scary. Yeah. That's wrong.
Yeah, kind of getting back on topic with bosses. The main thing that I immediately was like, oh god, I need to yell about this in my head, was the first point that you have on your thread, is that bosses will not be changed to compensate for Legacy mode, but the drop tables will be changed because Legacy mode killing Virago or something of that sort utilizes EOC abilities, would make killing the bosses much harder and thus rewarding. That personally really bugs me, just because it's really opening up a situation, like I can just use myself as an example. I am not voting for, I'm voting for the no thank you side. But if it gets implemented, and I'm willing to sit through a couple minutes of slightly more difficult combat, or even just inconvenient combat methods for greater rewards than what I'm supposed to actually be getting for my efforts. Mm-hmm. I find that to be very, very unfair, because like, even though you're using a mode that's not helpful to you necessarily, or you'll get killed more easily in combat, it's just a situation where people who didn't vote for the thing can just almost abuse it to get better drops, even though they never use that combat system anywhere else in the game.
I have already figured out how to break it. Virago alone, you know the prices on the tectonics and seismics? So, right now with Virago, people try to go in a smaller team so the split is less because of how rare the drops are. Bring 60 legacy combat people into Virago, and just all sit there and hammer on him until he's dead. Who cares how little of a split you get? Because you're getting them more often.
And you're doing nothing to get them.
Exactly. I mean, that is so easy to break.
You'll probably lose 20 people on the way, but who cares?
You'll lose 20 people on the way,
Still.
But because you're probably using crappier gear because it's a mass, and people are just gonna run around and fire off random attacks. If they die, I mean, can you hop back in instances in Virago if you die?
No, but
don't
sometimes,
think so.
but with team dynamics, usually, like, if you're in a nice team, they'll still let you have the split.
Yeah, exactly. And even if they don't, it'll just be a clan that's sitting there trying to abuse it anyway. Because people will do that if Jagex gives them the opportunity, and it's not considered a bug, so they won't get banned for it. I mean, that alone is something very, very,
Why aren't people
with
seismics getting worried about this? Like, I'm curious as to
God.
why people...
Now that give it a day.
It's like,
a day or two.
Those are
somebody
worth
make a post
2
about it,
point
and
however
they will
many
be
billion
everywhere.
right now. Maybe they drop a little bit.
I think the problem is because the stream itself is a solid 90 minutes that somebody has to sit through, and it's just randomly nestled in the middle there.
They dropped apparently
Yeah.
Seismics dropped 100 mil today, so people are noticing.
Never mind, everybody's aware.
Oh,
I lied.
boy. Yeah, I didn't really think of that, but yeah, bossing gear would immediately just drop.
I mean,
it would change.
Like we mentioned about armor, if they remove the hit point bonus, they're gonna tank.
Especially tank gear.
Especially tank gear. Like, quartz armor is gonna go from the 5 mil that we get for making the tradables to like 100k. Nobody's gonna bother making it.
It's gonna be insane.
Because the reason it's so valuable is it has high bonuses, but it also has that hit point bonus.
I can hit 10k HP with that. Like, it takes a lot of pop to take down somebody with 10k HP. Like,
because the things that they said they wanted to change are remove hit points from armor, add plus strength modifiers back to armor.
Yeah.
So that means suddenly power armor is the thing to do, because it's not about hit points, it's about the amount of defense and the chance to block.
Pure damage.
Like it's no longer, here's how much damage I can definitely take. It's now, everybody has the same amount of damage they can take, just some people have a less chance of being hit. But this armor type still has a fairly close amount of chance to hit, but then my damage is increased by a bit, and suddenly tank armor is valueless again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They've got,
like, sort of...
Go on, Kitten.
Sort of just before we continue on with the armor stuff, like, what you mentioned also in the thread was about, how some bosses require specific abilities to actually be done, so in a way it's like, what's the point? But that's also sort of a big fear of mine. If they end up having the combat system so those kinds of attacks are avoidable with the old combat.
Why would you ever use them to begin with?
Exactly.
Yeah,
I mean,
just, oh my
one of the
god.
best discussions I saw about this was, and I mentioned this very briefly, I only touched on it, was, people will use, it's not actually 2 systems. It is really, we're putting 2 systems in, but one of them will die. Because it's whichever has the best damage output for a minimal based effort.
Yep.
Yes.
So,
exactly.
if the old combat system will have, because they keep saying, I want comparable, and I mean, even Revolution...
It better not be comparable.
Right? But they keep saying, we want the 2 of them to be about equal, blah, blah, blah. Then people will use it simply because it's an easier option.
The way I see it...
You have to take the time to set up that ability bar.
Oh, yeah.
The way that I see how it has to go is that it can't be any more effective than Momentum is now, just because of effort. For no other reason than effort.
I mean, if I were the developer behind this, I would take Momentum, modify it just slightly, take the old skin, stick it on, and say, hey guys, we made it, and see who knows.
That's pretty much...
And just wait 2 months and go get paid for it. To be honest, that is exactly how I would develop this. Because simply, old combat is Momentum with special attacks, and we're getting special attacks back, even if this doesn't pass.
Yeah.
Because it's already in beta.
Yeah, that's
been in
already
beta for 5 days. And I'm positive towards that because of the way it's implemented.
And speaking of which, the Momentum Plus actually works really nicely because you don't get very much.
Beautiful.
You do get your adrenaline, and it builds up slowly, and then you use an ultimate, and then it all goes away, and by the time
the greatest thing about it is the fact that it mimics the old combat in a way that I wish the old combat had been at the time, is you don't just gain back your special energy as you go, you gain it back for participating in combat.
Yep.
It is what old combat should have been at the time anyway.
Mm-hmm.
Which is why Momentum Plus is such a good idea as it is.
Yeah, but also... sorry. Go ahead, Lime.
It's like facing being... Well, we've said this again and again and again, but I'm just gonna say it one more time, then I'll shut up. But it's facing being undone by how rushed this stuff is. Like, we had a chance with the Momentum Plus ability, and now that it has been announced that there could be old school combat again, legacy combat, that is now out the window, off the table.
Yeah, this is a little bit irrelevant, but the quick question about Momentum Plus, does it scale to how fast your weapon is as to how fast your...
Every weapon hit builds up an 8%, I believe.
Builds up how much?
8%. Right? No, it's less than that, isn't it?
No, it's way less than that.
It's like 1 to 2%, I think.
Because I'm curious as to whether if fast weapons, like dual wielding, will get you more than, say, a chaotic maul.
That's an interesting thought.
That's what...
I believe, actually, back in
like
AOC beta, people complained about this, and they said they'd change it, and they didn't. Was that fast weapons build up less adrenaline than slow weapons. I don't think they changed that.
Because I tested in the Ascension dungeon with dual crossbows, and it took me about 2 minutes to get 100%. So I was using an ultimate every 2 minutes, which is...
That's not bad at all.
I will absolutely take that. I did notice one thing, and I tweeted at ModPie, but he's really bad about checking his @connections tab, as to whether Death's Swiftness is supposed to affect auto attacks, because it does not. At least when there's momentum is up.
Oh.
That's a good way to put it.
So that's a problem. But yeah, it was about once every 2 minutes, and you get and if Death Swiftness works as it's supposed to, you get a plus 50% damage boost for the next 30 seconds. And, I mean, it's nice. But...
I want to kill someone. Sorry. I'm browsing the forums as we're saying this, and somebody posted a thread called Legacy Genius Scam. And it says, hey guys, come back for Legacy mode, but you can train like pre-EOC. And then they said, lol, JK, new momentum update is Legacy mode in Jagex's eyes. They said on live stream that dual wielding will likely remain. They wouldn't have their own servers, bosses, and existing content wouldn't be reverted. Prayers would function as they do now. Obviously, the people who are working at Jagex completely missed the mark on this one. People want pre-OC combat for many more reasons than to just AFK combat. That was annoying enough. First reply, if dual wielding remains, I won't play it.
Lols. Then why are you voting for it?
Yes. 3 people have quoted it, and then some, lovely Lego Meister replies, and he goes, please name them. The only thing I missed about the old combat was special attacks giving weapons diversity, which is being reincorporated as we speak. So somebody replies and goes, because of the simple fact that it isn't EOC? What the hell do you mean, please name them? So literally, the only reason, so he goes, people want pre-OC combat for so many more reasons than just AFK combat. Lego replies, please name them. The only thing I missed about old combat was special attacks. They're being reincorporated. Somebody goes,
they were there, I promise.
My reasons were because of the simple fact it wasn't EOC.
Are you going to devour his soul now?
Yes.
I already have.
Please. Yeah.
Little shit is dead.
This is why I do not into forums. Yeah, this is the reason I try and stay away from the forums on RuneScape, because as a whole, like, the lore community, the future updates community is generally decent, but I'm talking about, like, the people on Twitter, the people who pay attention and aren't just like, I hate this because I hate this, and I'm going to make arguments that I can't actually back up because all I do is hate this because I hate this.
Yeah, I'm replying right now. I'm laughing like a maniac right now. This is priceless. It's not that you want old combat, it's that you don't want new combat.
Yeah, that's pretty much what it comes down to. And that's what a lot of this argument is going to come down to with regards to Legacy versus EOC. And if it hits the game, when it hits the game, if it hits the game, who knows at this point. I really hope it doesn't. Or if it does, that it is done extremely intelligently and extremely carefully. AKA, leave the players out of it. You know when it's done better than we do. Like, it can't.
Yeah.
I keep going away. Like, finally, I clear up all my orange-red notes. Sorry, I keep clearing away all my orange-red notifications on Reddit, and then, like, I wait for 10 minutes, I don't get any, and then I leave for 5 and come back to 7 notifications. What is going on?
The audio just cut out for a second, because I didn't hear the end of, I don't know.
It was fine on my end.
I didn't hear.
That might have been my fault, hosting-wise.
I'm not sure, because it was just a very awkward long pause, but, yeah, still, like, just with the whole combat thing, unless it's put in very well, and they take into consideration all the different aspects of it and what exactly it will be affecting. And will there be more? Like, will it start with just EVM and PvP and move into quests, or will it just stay in like, where will the mode be used? Yeah. I mean, it's all just a ton of hypotheticals, and will this happen? And it has. I don't know. I just don't see it working with how they're talking about it. Yeah,
it's given us, needless to say, it's given us an hour and a half worth of discussion about it, and that should say enough about it to begin with. Like, this is not something that should be rushed. It is not something that should be even considered without intense discussion with all sides, and not just simply taking
It shouldn't be just like. Sorry.
Go ahead.
It shouldn't be just like, well, here's this idea about putting special attacks. How about we just put the whole thing back? Yeah. Like, stop it. No, that's not how you do it.
It shouldn't be done with a poll.
Please.
No, and not a simple poll. Like, in-game, hey, there's a new poll up, go vote, and we're done. That's not how it should be.
It's not Wilderness 2.0. This isn't just giving a place PvP options.
Well,
this is changing combat.
To be fair, Wilderness, the Wildy votes, should not have been done as they were either.
That was also very strange, but it's not as simple as that. It's nowhere near as simple as the concept. And still, even though the Wilderness one was a pretty flawed voting system,
go on.
The turnout wasn't as bad. The turnout isn't nowhere near as bad as what I see with this.
Something I did say earlier was, hey, at least they gave us the option of voting no.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Not like it matters, but yeah.
No. At least they tried.
So I've got two things. One is a post on Reddit that I just finished replying to. Somebody goes, because any rehash of the current system is bad, should Jagex have kept trade limits in the game? And I replied, because any attempt to shove two entirely separate combat systems together will end in disaster. Looking at their past track record, don't be daft.
Yeah.
He goes, I love how some people who play RuneScape utilize their foresight to know exactly what an update will do and use their absolutes to back their shitty opinion. No one here knows exactly how this update will be implemented. Not even Jagex, I would assume, at this time. Oh, thanks for supporting my idea.
I think
so feel free to stop
Jagex.
with this all-knowing bullshit about how it's going to ruin the game. My reply. From the information Jagex themselves have given, based on their past track record, and taking the time to actually sit down and consider ramifications of what can happen and what's happened in the past, we can visualize what will happen. I've personally been very right with forecasts in the past, and it's not like I have a poor track record. I'm taking my knowledge of the game, knowledge of the past, and my thoughts on simply how to break what they've given so far. And I see a problem.
Yeah. That pretty much...
I mean,
yeah.
The big thing also, sort of, they just throw this pull at us, and I mean, we just got the mole combat rework. I mean, if they're going through reworking all these bosses, and all these bosses that have been abandoned, they're gonna have to just rework them again.
Rework.
Yeah. And then this is directed directly at mod pips. You need to stop trying to please everybody. Please the people that you are pleasing currently. They are your core base. They have stuck with your company and your team through everything you've thrown at them. There are people that whine, there are people that complain, but we're still here.
Yeah, that counts for something.
Your goal should be pleasing those people, giving them what they want, not the people that are out of the game that used to play, not the people that play an old version of your game, because they have their own pulse for their own content. What needs to be happening now is looking at your current player base, the people that play the evolution of combat, Runescape 3, and pleasing them, and looking for the future, advertising your game for new players, not adding convoluted systems that will confuse them in the end. Because right now, your goal needs to be, what can we do to expand the game to new horizons? It's not about taking a step back to the past. We tried that before, and it didn't work.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And we had to backtrack on that too. Look at how the wilderness looks right now. I mean, it's empty right now, but do you remember how it looked a week after the wilderness was introduced? The same.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Because everybody was so excited to see that wilderness returned. Everyone was so excited to see that trade limit go.
Quote unquote everyone.
What were the results of that?
Bots!
Bots returned.
Bots.
The wilderness was dead in less than 2 weeks. The only thing that returned any love back to the wilderness was warbands.
And that's just because of XP.
And it's just because of XP. The fights that occur during warbands, they're beautiful. I mean, even people were giving like blow-by-blow logs of these wars that these epic warband teams were having, where these two teams would vie for power and fight using all these massive abilities, complementing each other and working in teams to defeat each other. That's the kind of combat you want to go for. It's not about prayer switching. It's not about sitting around in wilderness with a skull on your head and rushing in with a special attack. It's about utilizing the system that you guys spent 16, 18 months perfecting and are finally reaching the sweet spot now, and move forward with it. Keep balancing, keep tweaking. Now is not the time to split an active community already, once again, right down the middle in the same game, so that you have double the work you need to do to balance yourself. You have double the work you need to do. And you have to spend 7 months trying to please a group that in the past has shown to not be pleased by a lot of your content. Work with your players who support you for what you've released and want to help you move that content forward. It's not about working with the people who are only coming back because you're doing something they've been whining about. It's just like giving in to your 2-year-old that desperately wants some chocolate, but you're not giving it to him because he's already had a ton. You've already catered to these players hugely with just the release of 2007 Scape and the constant updates it's relieving alone. You've already dedicated several servers to that. You've been polling them weekly with these great ideas to help improve their gameplay. So what is the need to go ahead and shift that gameplay once again over to a live game that has a thriving player base, is growing, has removed bots entirely, and is at the point where we're pleased, we're satisfied. There are so many positive things coming out of every update now. You go on the recent updates forums, and how many ragers do you see? Nowhere near as many as you used to. I mean, these recent beta, I have seen nothing but love for these fantastic updates. Your combat team has been working tirelessly to really create some great stuff. And it really is a massive improvement, even in the early stages. The mole update, sure, the drops aren't great for the high-level players, but that's not what it's designed for. It's exactly why it works in its current format. And that's exactly why things were continuing to work. So why would you second guess your team that did some great work this week and past weeks and months, however long they've been working on that? Why would you second guess your team by releasing something that is catered specifically for the group that wants to hate on how your current game plays? And that's my problem. That's the whole point of our vlog. It's the whole point of the posts I've been making today. Cause I'm worried your track record is not solid. I'm sorry. It's true. But that is my message. And that's my whole message. If you do release this to a beta, I swear I will be playing the crap out of it. Because I don't want this game to fall into a state of disrepair like the after effects of the original EOC again. We're at our sweet spot now. Why are we backing down from that? And that's it. That's all I got.
I can add a bit. But first, kind of to lighten the mood, so with all this combat stuff and like PvP, how's the Crucible going to be affected? And is Marv finally going to get out of that stupid, like, crevice in the wall, the hatch?
Yeah, really.
Can we give the guy a break? He's been sick.
Honestly, I do think that's a Borderlands reference. Absolutely.
Yeah.
He is crazy. He's crazy, whatever the heck his name is from Borderlands. That's exactly what I thought it was. But still.
Yeah, just no. We already have the Crucible, which died very quickly.
I think the Crucible would be such a good way to just stick that legacy content in. Because I've seen suggestions for it. People are basically saying, hey, Bounty Hunter Old Combat? And I'm like, do it. The Crucible is the perfect format for that, to be totally honest. Make use of it.
Yeah,
you don't have to spread this whole game, do you?
Yeah, definitely to any mods really listening, just for really any content at all, just exactly what the whole message is. Just focus on what you have now and what you can add in terms of new players that appreciate the game for what it is and not what it used to be. Because the people who still want the game to be this old version
are catered to via classic and old schools. I mean, new players won't know about this stuff. They won't know what they didn't get to experience in the past because they were not there. Yeah, they did not experience it.
I wasn't around in 07.
Yeah.
If you haven't noticed, I don't care to know what was in 07 because I started in 2011. And that's where my beginning, of course, it is also worth mentioning, I don't care to go back to 2011. I have no interest in going back to then. But
because it's about moving forward.
Yep.
Exactly. That's how game design really should be. I mean, you're always trying to constantly develop your game to continue pleasing people in new ways, not just suddenly revert your game back to an attempted version of what you had before.
And just to quickly throw this in there, before anybody watching this starts throwing out the 011 prods, blah blah blah, you don't know how it was. I started in 2005.
I actually played. I played
IRL, bro.
I played a bit in 2003, but nothing.
It's just I have a lot of experience with the game, even in the past. I know how Old Combat was. I mastered Old Combat at the time. Granted, I'm not max stats, but I know my game design. That is something I would love to go into in the future. And I'm like, Timbo is my hero because balancing is my thing. I love balance.
Yeah, balancing is very interesting to me as well.
This is really kind of what I want to do. And as such, I feel rather qualified just to speak about this because it's something I plan to study. It's something I'm incredibly, incredibly passionate about. And, I've been playing for quite a while. I know this game. I know this game front and back. I know the story of this game. I know the mechanics of this game. And I feel confident and qualified to talk about my opinions on this. And I trust all of you guys because I know you well. I know your experiences with this game. I know who you guys are, and I know your opinions are just as valid.
I just want to put this out there. If anyone's going to call me 07 prod, I like it. Wait, no. 011 prod. I want everyone to know this. I don't care.
We don't care what you say about us.
All that really matters in this discussion, though, is that we played before EOC started. and we played a lot before EOC started.
Oh yeah. Yeah,
And there are people, including one certain Walter in our chat, who is very anti-EOC, but can't stand this update. Like, he rants weekly about something being broken in EOC. And most of them are actually kind of hilarious things that are broken. Mm-hmm. Like, what was it? Airwave was the strongest, mage spell for Max players for, like, months.
Yeah.
I was like, what? But yeah, like, there's...
Yeah, also, I mean...
Go on.
Well, we were just having a conversation about how it already took him, 3 hours to find ways to break the mole, and just, in mole hard mode, actually.
That.
Only 3 hours after release or something, like, there's already ways to just run around and not take damage.
Yeah.
I mean...
Well, I mean, to be fair, there's probably that in all combat styles, but it's it's kind of a recurring joke at this point, like, well, let's see how we can break this. And that mean, really, Walter should be the QA guy, cause that's their job, is to find that. But, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I'm as much as I really like them, and I want to be confident, their track record really is, it takes us a year to get everything right. So this time, if this passes, I don't want it to take a year if it's in the game, live game. Keep it on your beta servers. It's not about, oh my god, old combat, put it in the game right away. It's really about finding that real, actual sweet spot that we are hitting with EOC now.
Yep.
Yeah. I mean,
and
honestly...
I will continue to post, I will continue to make videos, I continue to speak out, as long as it doesn't feel like things are ready. And I hope people will listen. They seem to today. I really appreciate that from everybody who's replied to any of my threads, anybody who's said anything to me about this. Really, you guys for sitting through this with me as we all rant for, 2 hours? We're sitting on
hour 40.
Skype call?
Wasn't the plan to have a 2-person video? So I'm actually kind of glad that you let us all join in.
The original plan was me sit here and just basically read out my thread in replies to them, and then Gordon's like, wait, hang on, let me get in on this.
Yeah.
And then I called and more people picked up and I'm like, let's do it.
Yeah, cause, Kitten was here originally to make sure that we didn't do anything stupid.
Because I was really worried about it showing up on Seercast and it would just turn into like a rage fest and calling people out and saying, hey, so-and-so username, you're terrible, so-and-so said this, and I disagree because this. It's like, oh boy, let's put the brakes on this. This is actually very interesting.
Yeah.
And I'm just here because I was bored.
I am absolutely willing for this to come into the game. But it needs to be in the right way, and it needs to be balanced properly. And from what they've said today, what has been spoken of today, and the information we have so far, we do have problems.
Yeah.
That very much need to be addressed, and I don't think it's the right direction right now.
Yeah, we have spoken our minds, and they have, and I hope, I really sincerely hope that this video, even though it's ridiculously long, that it goes into that it finds its way into the hands of people that can really help the cause, or not even necessarily the cause, but can help make this what it should be. It has to be, like you've said, it has to be done right, and ideally if the six really, cause including Walter and Gina, if the 6 of us had our way, it wouldn't happen at all. But we all are under the opinions that if it does happen, which it seems like it will, it has to be right. And
simply because Jagex doesn't have the track record.
Yeah.
Get up.
And
we've really lost that trust.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I know that this is largely a negative discussion. I mean, a lot of us we all voted no, as far as I know.
Yep.
But, as we said, I am completely willing for this to happen. But my vote sits with no, because A, their track record, and B, the information we've given are not things that I am willing to trust them with, and not things that I feel are the right direction for the evolution of combat side of the game, or the old school side of the game that they plan to add.
Yep. Yeah, but I think that pretty much sums up everything that we wanted to say, and then some, and then some, and then some, and then some. Mm-hmm. So
well, it's good.
Yes, it is good, and this is needed discussion for something like this.
Indeed.
This is not an update.
Especially that we can get this out day one.
Happen.
Get this out to people, and these discussions.
Yeah.
If you don't mind, I would really appreciate if we can link both the Reddit thread, perhaps, and the forum thread, of course, in the description, so that our conversation isn't limited to just YouTube. Then we can make sure thoughts are seen in places that Jagex may definitely see on the forums that they're looking for feedback. Yeah, so I would really appreciate it if people stop by, post it in the thread, even if you completely disagree with us and think we're a bunch of daft pricks. Post in the thread and tell us why.
Yeah,
because discussion is the most important thing. Even if you totally disagree with me and I totally disagree with you, I still want to have that discussion.
But also,
and
please give a reason. And please come on.
Don't just come to the thread and say, lol, you're wrong. Come to the thread and say, look, I want this old combat system because X. There are so many people, like, a number of people that came to that thread with solid reasons, and I so much appreciated it.
Yep.
Approaching things from a mature and a logical way will get you so much further. On the Reddit thread, one of the top posts is something saying, it's not even like specifically supporting me, but it's one of the top posts because of the way it's said, and the message behind it is, I'm scared too, I still want this to happen, but I'm scared of it too.
Yeah.
Let me just read like a tiny snippet of it is, I'm all for legacy mode. PvP will finally be revived, along with mini games once other updates like XP for PvP kick in. You have the choice to do legacy or PSP, so why complain if it'll ruin the other style? The same thing happened for old school, and it worked out well enough. But this, the opening line is, this isn't directed towards OP, but I feel like our community is real shit. Since the EOC release, people have begged and flamed Jagex to reintroduce the previous combat system now, because the new one sucks.
That's the reasoning.
Why are we at this point? Why are we at the point that we have to sit here and flame each other instead of really sitting down and having logical discussions? That post is the top post in my Reddit thread because of its wording. People are not being mature. People are not sitting down and having the discussions that need to be had for the betterment of the game. They're having it because they desperately want to be right. And yes, of course, I want to be right because I'm always right. But seriously, my goal is discussion. Somebody on my thread brought up selfishness, and I said, yes, I am clearly being selfish here. I openly admit that. But it's because I want the game to be in a state that's playable.
You can't be passionate about something.
Experimenting. I am very passionate about this. I love this game. I've dedicated over at least 7 years of my life to this game.
I'm pretty sure all of us have logged at least over 1 year of gameplay time, and that is
yes.
I think personally quite sad, but it shows how dedicated we are to this
game. Is such a big part of just me growing up alone.
And if you
I don't want to lose that. I'm willing.
Go Lime.
We all. And if you don't
cut me off, damn it.
Now you're cutting each other off, and neither of you know what you're going to say. Lime, go.
And if you don't believe that, then we just sat here for 2 hours and talked about this update in the middle of the night.
Worst case, we sat here and we talked about this update. And so now we know what we're talking about when we go out, and by we I mean when Fangride goes out onto the forums and talks about it. And when I go on Twitter, or when we go onto wherever, onto Reddit. We are now better educated about this, and we hope that this kind of a discussion will help everybody who listens to at least be better educated. I think we did a reasonably good job of including the fact that there are positives to this, while we don't think they even come close to outweighing the negatives. There are positives, they are worth mentioning,
it can be worse.
And it's just...
It has to find the sweet spot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But if you do, I think we should probably call it a night here, but if you enjoyed what we have to say, there's a lot more where this came from. We are all members of the Seercast podcast, and we hope that if you subscribe to my channel, there's a whole list of Seercast things.
It's all about future updates and the lore of the game, so if you're into that kind of thing, stop by.
A little bit of recent updates thrown in there as well. So it's basically recent, future, and lore. And so follow us, subscribe to my Twitter, or subscribe on YouTube. Follow us on Twitter at Seercast. I will put our individual Twitter names in the description.
Yep.
And
just pretend mine is something totally appropriate and does not translate to butt belt. Because it kind of does it's even worse in Britain. It actually kind of translates to vagina belt, but still.
Whack!
Not intended, I swear it's a nickname.
Anyways.
Well, yeah.
Don't go to Britain with that nickname. But yeah,
no.
So...
Now, I didn't catch that until, several months after they responded to one of my Twitter questions in one of the BTS videos, and now I understand why they had to cut them laughing after they read out my username.
Oh dear. Anyways, but yeah, so follow us on Twitter, check us out, check our stuff out on YouTube, and please join the discussion, and just help to make it a good thing for the game, and don't rush it, don't let it be a negative, don't let it kill the game that we all enjoy, we all hope succeeds, and we've obviously put our hours into it.
See, one last thing to mention is if anybody actually wants to chat about this just one-on-one with us, if I'm online, just stop into the Scrying Pool clan chat channel and ask for Amascut. I will be around as much as I can. I mean, I'm in school still, but
really ask for any.
If you just ask for me, Capn Liem, for Gina, anybody, if you want to talk to any of us,
our in-game names are, we have Amascut is Fangride. I'm Kerrigan. I am space Kerrigan. Kitten is Last Kitten. Lime is Capn Liem. Gina is Gina Berry. Walter is a Walter's Kong. I don't know if Gina and Walter would be willing to talk. I can't imagine they wouldn't be. Gina may be less so, but she has other things going
Gina's
on.
just here to play awkward music after all.
Yeah.
But
basically,
if you want to talk to us and we're not around, just stop into our clan chat, the Scrying Pool, and say, "Hey, I'm looking for X," and they'll let us know.
Yep.
And we will add you happily, or pop into your friend's chat or anything, and just try and contact you, because I want to serve as education squad.
Yes.
That kind of stuff.
We're just fostering discussion here, and
the we talk too much kind of warning on the Twitter page is very true, but we like talking. So.
It plays into it here though, because this is a discussion. The entire goal of this is discussion. So
yeah, this is a topic we're extremely passionate about. We are really just saying hey, we love our game, and we don't want to see another explosion of people just leaving out of rage.
Yep.
Exactly.
Jagex does not need that. Everyone wants happiness, and everyone wants to feel very optimistic, but
everyone wants.
Oh God! Oh.
He managed to fit it in into a non-Seercast thing.
God damn it, Lime.
Legend continues.
And
the legend of the Lime Bat.
Anyways, but yeah, so check us out. Y'all know where to find us by now, and we hope you enjoyed, and we hope to see you. We hope to see y'all again soon. So, also before I go, if you did stay if you have watched this thing for the full hour and 54 minutes, you are a trooper and you deserve a medal.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah.
And if you then follow up and want more, I love you even more.
Yes.
Seriously, just thank you.
Yes, and we very much appreciate any support. Even if it is, God, you guys suck, but if you listened to us for an hour and 54 minutes and you came away with that, I am perfectly fine with this.
Yeah. I mean, even just a tweet, a follow on Twitter, we always love that.
Yep.
A subscribe on our channel just because you want to hear more of what we have to say. And you know what? If this really, we get the replies that we need, I would happily be willing to sit for another 2 hours and talk about this as more information surfaces.
Mm-hmm.
My real goal right now is I really, really, really want to kind of be our field reporter for this. I know I'm on the negative side. I know I don't support this all the way, and I'm still kind of, very much on the fence, and I'm worried about where this is going. But I want to report the facts. I want to be here to get the information out there and really stand here and say, look, Jagex, there's a flaw in this that you've missed. There's a lot of people that aren't paying attention to this. Please, just take a look, because I really do. I love this game. I care about this game, and I want to be a resource.
Mm-hmm.
Hell yeah. Keep tweeting, keep spamming, keep,
anything.
I mean, in this case, it is awesome spam.
Forums, Reddit, Twitter, maybe
yeah.
not YouTube, because YouTube is full of trolls.
Awkward
but
and Google Plus, but still.
Yeah.
As soon as I get a tweet,
Google+.
if possible, I will reply to it.
But
So
yeah,
do it.
same with me, and
I would totally give you my Skype name, but dear God, you can DOS
that
me
is
some.
a very bad idea.
Yeah, that's not happening, so.
But yeah.
Suck it.
So follow us, and we will respond to anything else that needs to be said. This will be up within an hour and a half. And we actually have a Seercast that we're going to be recording tomorrow. And now that we've gotten this out of the way, it's probably going to be significantly shorter. So we might only have one. We were thinking
that's actually why I'm really, really glad we actually decided to do this tonight, because otherwise we would have had a 4.5 hour.
We were thinking we may have had to have 2 tomorrow because
so this really worked out.
Mod Jack.
Thank you so much, Amascut, for calling this. It's actually been amazing, and we get to talk about this, and we really get to show our love for the game.
Exactly.
This was super impromptu.
Mm-hmm.
But
it was literally like, hey, I'm thinking about recording a vlog about this, and then
30 minutes later,
came together
let's
out
do
of
it.
nowhere.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
But anyways, thanks to everybody for watching, and we will hopefully see you, in the future. Maybe tomorrow.
For you to stick around.
The Seercast. But yeah, so again, thanks for watching, and we'll see y'all later.
Thank you.
Thank you.